I'm Paul Wilson Jr.
I'm Michael Upshaw.
And this is the Profit Formula. Welcome to the Profit Formula. I'm your host, Paul Wilson Jr., one of your co-hosts, actually. The other co-host is right here next to me.
Mike Upshaw.
Absolutely. So great to be here. Looking forward to another exciting show today. As we talk about, today we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about from community impact and community profitability from that standpoint. So our guest today is Trey S. Deadwyler. Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you.
Always good to see you.
Always good to be here with y'all, man.
So I want to make sure give you your proper due. So read your intro real quick so people get we set some foundation.
Okay.
Before we start this conversation.
Cool. Let me get my guest preacher pose.
Exactly. Gotcha. But you know,
Trey gonna have to leave that jacket before. That's why I'm not wearing the jacket.
Right.
I'm gonna have one after the show.
Get out of here.
Space. There can be a transfer.
There you go. There you go.
That man, people transfer the mantle.
There you go.
Here we go. Here we go.
So again, no, it's great to have you here, Trey. Again, for those who don't know, you about to know in a moment. So Trey is the founder and director of leadership and culture development at Think for Good Incorporated, with a rich background in fostering personal and professional growth. His civic and professional transcript includes impactful work with organizations such as the American Red Cross, Atlanta Police Department, Communities in Schools, Morehouse College, Spelman College, Points of Light Foundation, AmeriCorps National, Civilians Community Corps, and Love Beyond Walls. Bro, that's not only a mouthful. That's a lifetime resume. Yeah. But you look like you're about 21. So
Yeah.
You're doing pretty
man.
good.
Right. And they already call me Unc, man. I don't understand what you talk about.
I got called OG the other day.
Oh yeah.
I didn't feel good about that.
Hey, first of all, I'm a cousin. I'm your cousin, not your Unc. Yeah, let's go.
Well, they call me Pop, man. I got two sons.
Oh, see, it works.
You earned it. You
earned that. See, I don't have any right now. I'm good.
Good. So let me give you a little bit more, and then we jump into this conversation.
My fault.
Again, no, you're good, man. Yeah. As a seasoned coach and mentor, Trey's approach is deeply rooted in the principles of faith, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral coaching, and neuro-linguistic programming. This is a smart brother right here. I'm just saying. His commitment to creating impactful change has led him to serve on prestigious boards, further amplifying his influence in the civic and leadership spheres. Trey leverages extensive knowledge and experience to empower individuals and organizations to unlock their dynamic capabilities, enabling them to achieve their prioritized personal, professional, and organizational goals, all in the 7 life domains. He's also an author. We're going to talk about that too. Again, welcome, Trey, to the show. It's great to have you here on the Profit Formula.
Thank y'all for letting me be here, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So good. So let's just jump in, man. Like I said, you got a long career in the nonprofit space. Very impactful work that you've done.
Sure.
Very historical work.
Yeah.
So we'll just kind of go back to where you got started, and then we'll work our way up. So give us this kind of that 30,000 view.
Sure.
And also as you're talking, what do you see as profitable community impact?
Sure.
Let's go there.
So one, I'll answer the first part of that. It's always going to be about outcomes. You got to figure out what those are going to be, whether it's changing skills, knowledge, abilities, opinions, behaviors, conditions, circumstances, whatever it is. We got to figure out what we really want from there. I think I'll start with this. I think is really important. That my mom is retired from the police department.
Okay.
My dad's retired from the fire department.
Interesting.
So you can imagine, like, from both sides, service is really a part of it.
Absolutely.
My grandmother used to be, she was on the motherboard, but she was also, we in the old church.
Right.
Wood
Where'd
floors.
you grow up again?
I grew up right here in Atlanta.
Right in Atlanta, okay.
Right in Atlanta. And, my grandmother used to play the bass drum at church. That's how you know it's just kind of old, like doop, 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 doop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
wood floors?
Wood floors, stomping and go.
There we go.
Real small, basically, look like a little office building.
Yeah.
And so, but I think service was a part of like my life the entire time, right? And so one of the things I really, I think when I'll say for my big starting career was really starting youth services. So I was at Red Cross for a number of years before I did my AmeriCorps term that you mentioned. And I did that for a number of years. And that was, I had the entire city of Atlanta. At one point I was just in Cobb County. Okay. And I did everything from teach water safety to young folks to interviewing skills to first aid CPR to leadership styles to active listening. I even did one stint. I had a team when we would go into schools and be puppet masters for first aid training.
Oh, wow.
So I think I did it all. That came really about because while I was in school at Southern Poly, we were doing a mentoring program across the street at a little middle school in Marietta. And people heard about what we were doing, and I thought I was going in to be a part of the youth program, and they were like, "No, we want you to be a facilitator. You're a little too old to be to be in the program." I was like, "Oh man!" So that's kind of how it started, and I loved being at Red Cross. I did everything within that space. I ran my first national service program there, the AmeriCorps National Preparedness and Response Corps. And that was right after I did my AmeriCorps year, when I lived in California for a number of months. California, I mean, we're talking about Indio, San Francisco, Palm Springs. I was in Tucson, Arizona. I moved from there. Then I lived
down Southern California.
Southern California, yeah. So down there, and then I was in where else would we go? We were in a little spot in Nevada, but I ended my tour in the El Dorado National Forest I was a wildland firefighter for a while. So again, it gets weird. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. All these things.
I didn't know about the
You didn't know about that?
part.
Yeah. Anything like I'm still chainsaw certified. So if you need me to cut down a tree for you, let me know.
Keep that in mind.
But from the Red Cross, I stayed there for a number of years, and we did everything. I went through Hurricane Katrina. That was one of my largest really big responses.
Were you in New Orleans, or are you doing it?
I was here. I did it here. I did not. That was my first large disaster response of that scale. And I remember one of the craziest stories that that's also that was my birthday weekend. So I was like, oh man, they got it.
Right.
No,
not so much.
Not so much. I was about to leave one day. I think the day before everything hit, and my chief officer at the time said, "Hey, I need you to do some things." She's like, "Okay." I said, "But I haven't done any of that." She said, "It's totally okay. We know what you can do. Didn't you just come from the AmeriCorps program?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "You'll be fine." From there, I opened 5 shelters, even the one here in Lost Mountain, not too far from where we are right now, and was on that DR for about 30 days. Fast forward a couple of years, ended up at Points of Light working. If you all remember the Great Recession.
Very intimately.
Yeah, very much so, right? Created something called I was working with entities across the state, created something called the Georgia Recovery Corps, which was basically all about workforce development, retooling, and retraining those that are basically suffering from the recession, and all the jobs that were lost across Georgia. But also, and the idea was, Governor Perdue had an initiative called Work Ready, that you'll probably remember. Some of the folks that where they wanted to bring and certify as many people in the state, especially in specific regions, to attract businesses. And so that helped. We partnered with them, worked with our technical colleges across the state. Dope. Got folks certified, brought them in, helped do some other additional trainings with them. That was one of my big programs. Fast forward a couple more years, I'm still at Points of Light. I create this thing called the Veteran Leader Corps, which is a part of the large initiative that we were creating called the Community Blueprint, which is focused on veterans, veterans and military families. It was very interesting because I'm not a veteran. My son's in the Navy now, which is so dope, by the way, my oldest son. But from there, we basically work with veterans all across the country, from California to Florida, and helping them basically do the same thing, retool, retrain for civilian life. And that took me back and forth to DC a lot. The first time at the Pentagon, it was just it's been a dope, really cool experience.
I like how you said that. First time at the Pentagon.
First time.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. No. I mean, it was a great experience. It was a great experience. It's been a great experience. But I think my life has really been about trying to figure out what's the outcomes for people.
Right.
I think the way we've designed, way we have implemented, how we've trained people,
Yeah.
it's all of it like, so what is the end result? What is it that we really want? And I think, and I hope by the time I move on to whatever the next plane is, that people will see like, oh, this is what he was all about.
Yeah.
And I hope I gave you everything.
No,
I could.
that's good, man. Like
Yeah.
I say, a good snapshot, good synopsis from that standpoint.
Yeah, man, that's a good, as you said, it is a lifetime resume. To be able to be involved so much. But going back to what you said, about your mom and dad being in service, and so really you took it to a whole nother level of service, right? Being able to serve on a very national scale,
For sure.
which then, talking about your son joining the Navy, so even a whole nother, international scale,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So it's like the service is in the bloodline.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that being said, being a native of Atlanta, seeing your parents both in, civil service, like, community based and all these things, what were some of the things that sort of motivated you as, growing up, seeing what they were doing that said, hey, you know what, I have an interest in, our community in a different way?
Yeah. So, I'm growing up around cops the whole time.
Yeah.
And like cool cops.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
Different.
that seemed to know that had
Right.
their finger on what was going on. And I think that really gave me a different insight of like, oh, okay, some of this is a result of things maybe out of their control.
Right.
Or things that is in their that folks can control. They're not aware of it yet.
Right.
And so I think that's the way I've tried to approach it. I think that was the big what they instilled, what the folks that were around me and what my mom was trying to just like, hey, don't forget that it's always there's always something else that's possible. And I think that was really important. Still in a sense, like even though it's still a single parent household, so to speak.
Right.
But they were they were separated. And I think, but still like, what can you, I was always she was always telling like, what can you do? What's possible? All the officers was like, don't forget, you have responsibility here. I'm back. Y'all remember everyone we were all latchkey kids back in the day in many cases, right? So, and my mother used to work at night. And so I would get home, she's leaving.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So all of those things have like taught me a lot about responsibility.
Right.
And I have always said that since that, I think as I got older, realized that empowerment and being empowered, it takes responsibility. Being responsible gives you empowerment.
Yeah.
So I think those are the things that they really instilled. And then when I didn't realize what I was doing when I did the fire team. That was just all about valor, resilience, just having good fortitude. Yeah. And I really just wanted to test myself. You get to run up a mountain a few times. You're like, okay, right, you can do this.
Yeah.
You get a 4-foot flame length that you're trying to fight down. Okay. Yeah, and you survived. You're like, okay, this you could pretty much do. You could be in an office with some cubicles and be like, oh, this is just hard to talk about. Yeah. So I think that's what it's all about, resilience. I mean, I think I've always had great mentors, I believe, that seem to always instill, first off, making sure that I was grounded.
Yeah.
One thing I did mention, like when I was at the police department, I did a little stint there as well. But my mentor was the director of chaplaincy.
Okay. So
I was with the chaplaincy corps working with him, with our interfaith chaplains across the city.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine, like, we got from imams and everyone all together, different faiths, and we are getting along.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember him telling me, he's like, don't forget, you can practice what you practice. You can believe what you believe. And as a matter of fact, if you need someone else to believe what you need to believe so that you can believe it,
maybe that belief ain't there.
Maybe that belief ain't there. So he was always trying to make sure I stayed grounded in my faith.
Yeah.
He made sure that, like, hey, don't forget, know what you know, be able to defend what you know. just think, I don't know, I just had that little thought like that was all a part of that.
Yeah,
Just making sure that I stayed grounded the entire time. Move from there. So hope I didn't ramble too much there.
No, that's actually good. So when, obviously at some point you made a transition from working for someone and then, starting for yourself. Walk us through that transition. I think when you and I met, I think you were at the beginning of that transition.
Yes. I don't think I had gray hair.
It's what's interesting is I make this joke all the time. The whole group of us, I'm the oldest, but I got the least amount of gray hair.
Hey, right? Man.
So
living a good life, sir. Living a good life.
So I always tease, kind of Paul and Dr. Hughes, and now you. And so, but just to say that you brought it up, so I figured I'd throw that out there. I don't use rewind Beijing.
That's good. No. That's a clean hairline right there. I see that. You can see.
This is it. But that transition, walk us through what that was like and what prompted you. Like, how did you know it was time to make that transition?
Okay. Two key like milestone moments. I'm in Chicago, 2012 maybe. We were doing a national conference at that moment, but I'm also in this new program, this fellowship with the Aspen Institute. And in that program, they give you a counselor or a coach. Basically, give you a coach.
Okay, right.
For the extent of that, my first coach really ever. I get in there. I'm in my assessment. Now, back in the day, I was like really into like dandyism, so I was like fully dressed up. No one else in the group, in the fellowship, was dressed up that day. It was jeans and t-shirts for these guys. Right. I was the only one in somewhat professional attire.
There you go. So you had a bunch of me's.
Yeah. So man, listen. So I walk in within 30 minutes. She had like broke me down, and I was like, "Ooh." First couple of things she said, she was like, fish out of water, fish out of water. You're a fish out of water. I'm looking at your assessments. I'm looking at where you are right now. And I listened to this. She actually recorded that first meeting. Okay. And I used to listen to it all the time.
Wow.
Like at least once a year. But that was a moment where she was like, I don't think, she kept saying you're a fish out of water. She said, then she gave me something. She said, it seems like you are one way and then another way. And she said, as soon as you can bring your complete self to your work, you're going to find success. And she was absolutely right. Because she pimped us. I was like, yeah, because I want to say this over here, but I don't think people are ready to hear what I really want to say. Because I've been in nonprofit for quite some time. I've been in ministry for a long time. And it's basically, it's just, how do you work with people? But how do you see people first? And she said, don't quit yet. She said, I know you're ready to quit. She said, it's not time yet. So that was the first moment. So I just set the plan to start getting ready. Fast forward a little bit, after that, we were, you all remember the Flint water crisis? Around that time, I was headed up to, we wanted to do something. So connected with my boy, Terrence, a good friend of mine as well, my boy, a day, and we were like, what we're going to do. And then during that time.
Y'all went to Flint?
Oh, we went to Flint. 5 times.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was really
good.
Y'all
Find something to do, right?
No. We brought water up.
Yeah, just wanted to make
we brought water up. No. So we brought water up in a little U-Haul box truck.
Gotcha. Now y'all gathered donations.
We gathered donations.
Okay, nice.
And then went up. The last time was the big time because my shout out to my pastor. Some kind of way he heard about what we were doing. We get a call while we were actually in Flint, and I'm like, "Who is this?" And his assistant, who I know really well, he's like, "Hey," and then pastor gets on the phone. He's like, "I heard what you're doing. When you come back, we need to have a conversation." By the time we finished, when we came back, Pastor Craig Oliver, by the way, great guy. He helped us get 5 tractor trailers
really?
Full of water that we took up to Flint.
That was one for each trip.
Yeah. Yeah. So you imagine it's don't forget this around this time, it's in the winter, right? So we are driving a box truck up 75, up 85, 75, 85.
Yeah.
And
you're going to Michigan,
it's ice.
75.
It's ice, it's snow, like, and all of us are true Southerners.
Yeah.
Right.
We have no idea what we're doing.
No, anything more than an inch.
We're staying at terrible hotels. I know it was some shady stuff going on. We peek out there and it's some walkers. You're like, oh man, why did we stop here? It was on the route. But that was the number 2 because around that same time I realized like folks that were in my department and sometimes in folks that were in our space, they weren't doing anything, but we were going to have a conference in Detroit later on that year. That concerned me.
Right.
So I said, okay. And so you start to in that particular time, I'm testing out ideas of like service and civic engagement at Spelman.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm testing out ideas at service and civic engagement at Morehouse, and those programs are working.
Right.
So I'm like, okay. So now I have the evidence that what I'm not crazy.
Right.
I'm not. Nothing is it like everything that I'm saying actually makes sense. It's actually can prove that it has great results. Yeah. And then here we go. 10 years later.
Wow.
So I made. We at that point it was like, okay, it's time to go. And those first couple of years, Jesus, Louise.
Talk about that.
Because you just never know.
Right.
So my old moniker used to be the service nerd, right? And it still is. People still call me the service nerd all the time.
Don't you have a logo?
I do.
Right.
Glasses with just a service nerd. Yeah, but because I always wear glasses, and so but that came from my understanding of the space. I used to run national service programs all the time, and so being able to quote federal regulations. So I used to have just like these. I used to have I have journals and journals of just logic models and program ideas and literally stories and almost basically you could pull when we built out the Veteran Leader Corps, that was already built. Right. I just had to go in my journal and pull it out and said, hey, this is what I think we can do.
Right. You remember?
Go ahead.
And let me just say this real quick. That was pre-AI. This is he actually did the work.
Yes.
So
when you said it reminded me. I don't remember being at Metro Merge, and we were working on a logic model.
Oh yeah.
Community development.
Yeah. And I remember so much that it was blue ink on blue ink on a whiteboard, and I remember us being in that time. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. All I would have been able to do is sit there and watch y'all.
Man, So again, I always it feels like as I look back now, it was all about what's the end result. Yeah. So the logic model, the theory of change work, trying to figure that out. I start thinking about that. Right. Even the practice that I have right now, I think about how personal development from a logic model standpoint. Mm-hmm. What's the outcome? Where were we? We talked about.
Yeah, I think you were talking about your transition into entrepreneurship.
Oh, yes. So and that was it. It's just
like.
Those first couple of years though, it's just hard because you don't necessarily know who's going to does anyone even care?
Right.
Turns out people cared.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and it's such a specialized.
For sure.
Right. So talking about that, because I think, we have our strengths, right? Mm-hmm. We know what we're capable of, but some things are more broad, right? Yeah, this is a more narrow lane.
Yep.
As you get into this lane and trying to navigate it, what was some resources that you really had to uncover in order to find doors that was open for the service that you were bringing? I'm
going to do something right now, and this is not a plug, but it is a plug.
Go ahead. Hey,
so
man, that's
one of the first things. And I told Paul this just recently, and I had to remind him, I was like, you got to keep in mind that I read your book.
Which one?
This one right here. Thinking in 3D.
Dream Big in 3D book?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
no, that's a great plug. Right.
In fact, and listen,
got the Dream Big in 3D book
in 3D
right there, so I can remind him.
It is. It is heavily highlighted.
Yeah.
And so, and I think we talked about it then, but I got to keep telling you.
Right, I hear you.
Like, so that was a big resource for me because I was trying to like get all of this out. And I was like, oh, this is already here.
Yeah.
Right. Because someone that thinks all the time, you just need someone to implement. That's what he talks about. Like, hey,
Right.
let's go.
Now,
Let's
quick,
go. Yes.
because I got to jump in.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't want to make this a beat up Paul session, but
Right.
having done that, how relevant would you say that book is today in 2025?
I think it's timeless.
Man.
I think it's timeless because one of the things same thing that even I'm trying to teach, it's about principles.
Yeah.
And when you're teaching in principles and not trends,
Right.
then it just becomes timeless. And people need to know like, oh, these are things that you just want to be able to do.
Yeah.
No matter what type of business you are. So it was vocationally agnostic. Like it was like, hey, it don't matter if you're doing making bread or you're building AI. Like you still need to do this, and this.
Yeah.
And so it gave you steps. And I was like, oh, this you're right. I guess I do need to do that. Right. And I'm sitting there on my couch trying to figure out something to do. And what's the next step? So absolutely. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Paul, you gotta do better, man. Get that out. Make sure everybody buy this book.
That's
We're
it.
gonna re-release it.
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely.
Buy that book.
But along that line too, because I think because again, you've been in that workforce development space, right?
See,
too,
yeah.
and with nonprofits.
Yeah.
So one of the things I talk about in this book, I'll plug the next book too, Purposenomics, right?
Yes.
Is some people struggle with, right? Can I do something meaningful, but I have to be broke doing it, or I want to go make a lot of money, but it may not be meaningful because I have to do something I'm good at, but not something I'm passionate about, right? Or something that's connected to my purpose. But you've done a good job of being in a career in the nonprofit space, right, for a long time. Then you made the transition to a entrepreneur, right, for-profit business. Talk about that kind of transition and journey too. Because sometimes people in that, not everybody, but a lot of times people in that nonprofit space is more about the impact than it is really understanding how do you. Because even in a nonprofit organization, it needs to be a profitable organization to be sustainable.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right. So talk about even how you made that transition from a nonprofit world into entrepreneurship and to be able to do that effectively.
So you have to start looking at your results overall. And what I did was like, okay, what are we missing here? So this is just a little thought. I'm gonna keep me centered.
Yeah.
But one of the things I used to talk about a lot of times, is we have folks that sometimes have very degreed in the space. They have nonprofit management and But one of the questions I used to ask a lot was, why aren't we going out of business? If we, that's our job to solve problems.
Right.
And so when you think about nonprofits that are going out of business because they are so effective, I don't think you've heard that ever.
No.
Right.
And so that became a problem for me. So thinking about that, it felt like I was also in the machine.
Yeah.
That probably didn't necessarily solve the problem. And I needed to be outside of it so I could see it a different way. And I would have it also, no one can tell me what I could say or not say.
Right.
And so.
And since being in it, you had credibility.
I had credibility.
Yeah.
And because here's the other thing about that, typically your profits are best coming from within. People from the outside coming in, they don't like to hear it.
Right.
But if you're a profit from within, I'm in the space. I know what this is like,
Right.
and I can see it. This is what we're doing. It's received a lot easier.
Right.
And so, for that, I think when you're transitioning, you have to be ready to. What I did was just try to prepare for. Okay, are you going to be? Which person am I going to continue to perpetuate what's there, or try to shift and try to give something new? So in the beginnings, I was all about like, I'm just giving myself a job that I already have.
Right.
I'm just independent. As I moved, and I think probably when I started getting more gray is like, now I'm going to focus on the people, because you can build systems.
Right.
But if that's the operating system. But if the operators are not operating the system well, then we need to focus there.
Right.
And so that H factor is where we try to transition. And I think hold on. I think I'm going off. I started thinking about that. Am I centering your question again?
Right. Yeah. So we talk about transition entrepreneurship and that the mindset that has to shift. Yeah. So you were.
Yeah. So that's the mindset that has to shift. I think I had to be in a different place so I could see a different way.
Right.
And from there, I'm like, hey, these are just different approaches. And then people, oh, yeah, I never thought about it that way.
Right.
Oh, I never thought about it that way. Right. Oh, I like the way we see this. And so that's what I think any entrepreneur needs to be able to do, knowing your industry pretty well, but also being able to see the holes, the missteps, the missed opportunities, the trends that are coming. Being able to be a future caster for your industry is going to be huge. Right. And if you've been in the space for a while, like I just had this summit in DC a while back, and I'm talking to a friend of mine that we've been in the space for a while. It's like, looks like we're having the same conversation that we had 15 years ago.
Right.
And she's like, yeah, we are. And because things are cycling back around, that's why if you're teaching principles, nothing shifts. Right. You already ready for this is just going to come back around. Don't worry. So because everything comes back around. So I hope they answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a question, because most of the time when people are transitioning from any job where there's some sort of stability financially,
sure,
maybe there's insurance and all of these things, and then you transitioning into self-employment. Talk a little bit about that mindset of how did you start to understand your value economically, right? When you jump into a space, I've done a lot of consulting, and one of the things that I typically hear is, I know this is what I was getting paid, and I know this is what companies were paying for, but I don't know if I should ask for this amount when I go in to do this. So how did you reconcile in your mind what your value was?
Yeah. So first stage was basically I wanted to just make sure my bills were covered.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to make sure. So I figured out my monthly burn rate of all my expenses, and then I chopped that down to the hour, and then added 20%. That's basically that's all I wanted to do in the beginning. From there, I realized that's just going to keep you pretty flat.
Right.
And actually, it's not going to keep you flat because inflation is going to hit, and you're like, oh man, it's not going to work out.
Yeah, you're going to be on a treadmill for a while.
Yeah, absolutely, right. And so, truthfully, it was just testing it out. And I would always, when I'm sending out proposals, let me know, because I'm working with some nonprofits, some governments, mostly with nonprofits in the early stage. So I'm asking, hey, if there's some challenges, let me know.
Yeah.
And they would negotiate. So once I got the yes for $2,500,
right,
cool. I can get another yes somewhere else.
Right.
And so this is what it's going to be. And I started to try to at least standardize pricing, so that you'll know ahead of time.
Right.
Another thing I would do is in the intake forms to kind of figure out, like, not just the value of my time, but really the value of my time. Like, okay, once I get busy, it's like, okay, because people start to ask you, hey, I want you to do this, and it'll be, what they used to say. People still do that with like brands. It's like, you get publicity, you'll be in front of, 3,000 people. It's like exposure. It's like, are you going to pay for me to get there? Right. No, I need you to say, okay, listen, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So, as I'm trying to, like, I'm just testing out. But in the intake, I also, like, now, before we have a meeting, I have you fill out a form. Tell me what your budget is.
Right.
All right. For whatever type of experience. And it kind of makes sense. And I can judge of, like, hey, this is something I can do.
Right.
Or I prepare, or I don't say, hey, I want to be able to do this with coaching, this, that, and the other.
Right.
And it's like, oh, we only have X amount.
Right.
So I try to match what we can offer to what people's budgets and what their outcomes outcomes they really want. And I think that's worked out for me.
Yeah.
I've had different, various tiers of offerings, and that helped with, like, okay, this is basically the C-suite, Cadillac of everything.
Right.
And these are the things. These are the. It's not. This is like the Nissan. This is the Altima right here.
Right. Yeah.
It'll get you there.
Right.
It'll get you there fast.
Yeah.
But
it makes sense, and you actually answered that perfectly, because for a lot of people, I think being able to have that approach, right? Because I think sometimes what people will do is, and sure, this has been your experience. All right, I'll take this opportunity, even though it's not the value of my contract or what I would charge, right? Only to find yourself overworking.
Yes.
And then another opportunity comes along, but you can't really serve that opportunity because now you're locked into this one that you are wishing now that you never took, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I like to talk about the value of a project, the value of a client, because most people don't understand that once you take this on, you've now locked into it. If it's a 12-month deal, you've locked into it for 12 months, and you need to evaluate that whole process. Talk a little bit about, as you were going through, because when you first start, right? We throwing it out there, we testing the market, and when we get that first yes, it's like somebody finally said yes, right?
Yes.
And now we try to throw everything into that, right? Because we want to kind of build that relationship, solidify, do all of those things. Talk about the pros and the cons of doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you're going to overwork yourself. You're going to be stretched too thin, and you still have bills that will. You're still going to have bills and expenses that are coming out, and you're going to find yourself in the hole. That's the major thing. Running a business costs money. And I didn't realize how much money.
Right.
But I definitely know now. And so you need to be able to. Well, here's the thing. One of the things I also did later on was like, so, just kind of do a quick Google search, like what's the average cost of whatever it may be. It's like, oh man, I'm way lower. Now, side note, I was like, oh, do I deserve all of that?
That's the point.
Right. So you get into that space. One of the good friends told me. So at one point, when I was at the foundation, I had about 20 sites. If you look over a period of time, 300 to 500 people. Right. So he was like, if you were at my company, you're a VP. I said, he's like, you're a VP. That's easily done. And this is what you'll be making. I said, what now? So then so I thought back to that moment. I was like, oh, wait a minute. So now I'm reevaluating. Maybe my worth is different. I just told, and so now I think about it. It's not necessarily that if you're an entrepreneur and you're thinking about it from a place of time, you're going to mess yourself up. So you need to think about the value of your expertise, but also the value of expertise and your value of your solution. And if you can get to that place of like, this is what it's going to do, and you can actually put some metrics on that. You can codify it out, put it out like this is what it's going to solve. This is how much time it's going to save you on the long end, on the long run. And then you can look at, if it's an HR issue that you're consulting, like this is, how long it takes to hire people. So you're going to train this person to do the right thing, or you need to make sure that we have a process of actually understanding competencies ahead of time. Right. And either way, it's going to cost money. Figure out what that's going to be. I get brought in to talk through culture, like figure out like what's actually happening, figure out what value, but if people, I always say this, and I used to work with a lot of startups, bring me in ahead of time. But we can talk about your culture now, because now you're just running, and then you want to talk about culture 10 years in the game. It's like, no, you already have one. Now you need to do some shifts.
But now you got to fix it.
Now you got to fix it, but that means you also have to fix you. Right? Because your leadership is contagious. Everyone's running around because of how you have performed.
That's right.
And you've hired people that not only that you like, but you hire people that you are like in that process. So you just got a bunch of yous and many yous walking around, and you try to figure out why the culture's not working.
Which is funny, right? Because a lot of people who jump in entrepreneurship were running from corporate. They're running from a corporate culture, but then they end up reproducing the very culture that they said they couldn't stay.
Because they haven't learned anything themselves. They haven't learned anything new. They just want it out, right? But you've adapted, you've adopted that particular culture for yourself. And so you end up doing some of the same things that you get upset about.
Exactly.
And it's like, but and it's just, you have to start paying attention. So being out of it, being able to see your business, what we used to, you talk about like being, what'd you say, being in the business,
working
on the business and working,
not working in the business,
and not working in the business. I think that was been, once you're able to get to that place of like, okay, this is how we want it to perform,
right?
It goes from there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And let me continue to build on that, because something that you said a moment ago, I think it connects to that kind of mindset piece. Right?
Okay.
Even when you said, do I even deserve that?
Oh, yes.
But let's tie it in. I got my phone pulled up because I'm just going back briefly to your bio, where what you teach is rooted in, you said, faith, positive psychology, cognitive behavioral coaching, and neuro-linguistic programming.
Yep.
So not just to break all this down, but how does all that play into whether we talk about building a culture, whether we talk about even deserving a certain amount of money, and then how do you coach people to navigate through that, or coach organizations kind of navigate through those issues? Because like I said, a lot of it is mental, and emotional, how people approach and their attitudes based on conditioning, oftentimes, right? From that standpoint. I know it's a long question, but maybe just a couple of bullets. Yeah.
I will even challenge with a little bit that I think it's all mental to start.
Yeah.
The beliefs, the values everyone is going to experience this podcast in a different way.
Yeah.
Each one of us in this particular room is experiencing life in a totally different way.
Right.
From our viewpoints, how we experience life, and so on. Right. Our current mindset, our current emotional state, everyone's going to be experiencing life in a totally different way, which puts glasses on and puts a particular lens on life. That lens on life is going to tell people how they're experiencing life. Right. Also, how they should participate within it. Also, how they're going to treat folks. And so that's a good start. When we start looking through this, one of the first things we try to do, if it's a coaching program or if it's a team building, whatever it may be, we try to do an assessment on values, right? Most of the organizations that we work with have some sort of mission statement or a value statement, right? Which articulates to us either the consumer, customer, or internally as the those that are the employees, who we are, who we want to be, what we want to do, how we want to do it. Right. 4 big questions. Right. I call those the existential questions. So that's what every single person is, every single organization is trying to figure out, and they're trying to answer that in their products and their services, all their offerings, and hopefully within their culture. You should see those answers. When we try to make sure that there's some alignment with what the company is saying we're doing to what the people and how the people are functioning within it. Right. And so that's where we start to find out, and then we can look at, okay, so if the values are saying this and there's some value incongruency there, then let's go back to beliefs. Then we can do a belief assessment, right? So the beliefs are going to determine the values are going to determine the emotional states and the lens and the views of how people are going to see things. Right. And then that's going to drive all your results because it's going to drive behaviors, right? And so, we always talk about the reason why we do cognitive behavioral work, because we look at patterns all the time. Every culture is basically just a pattern. Right. Everything that we're doing is a particular pattern. How you pick up your clothes in the evening, how you shower, what shoe you put on first, how you eat, how you speak, how you connect, how you respond to things, how you react to things, right? All of that is a particular pattern. So one of the things that we're trying to do all the time is put our finger on the pattern. Right. The pros is don't look at where you failed, look at where you tripped. So now that we can see this is actually a pattern, now that you know it, you have an awareness of it. Yeah. You can put your finger on it and say, hey, we can change this. Because as soon as you recognize the pattern, you can there's like a fork in the road here. Yeah. Right. We can change it or not. Yeah. And so, in the work that we're doing, it's just all about pattern recognition. Yeah. Pattern recognition over and everything, because everyone has one. Right. And that's where the habits come in. And then because there's so much automaticity in it that you don't necessarily know it's happening, And that's how culture works. Right. You all probably seen the old iceberg review of culture, right? All that stuff at the bottom it's really what's moving culture. It's really what's moving culture.
Yeah.
Everything that's tacit, things that we don't have to say.
Yeah.
The code switching.
Yeah, we don't have to say anything, but we know, like, all of those things that are deep embedded are typically the challenges. It's not the overt stuff. It's the stuff that we have to get out of us, that we have to become aware of, and then dig up and see if it's actually working for us or against us. Yeah.
That's good stuff. So as we come towards the end, we'll tie in your book, right? I know that's a lot of what you just shared. I believe also there's some connection points there and connect some dots there to your book. Talk about that, and how it can benefit people.
Cool. So the book is called The Contemplative Morning, and it's available everywhere. You can just Google it. It's everywhere. It came about because 2016, I'm trying to do something, and I'm trying to go through make sure my practice is part of my practice, right? And so every morning, starting from like November of that year, I would basically get up, do my reading, do my meditation, do my prayer, and then write. Right. And I would try to figure out, something would come to me. It was weird. It started up and I was like, I'm starting to journal because I'm going back to the old, like I used to journal every single day. Right. Something that came to me. So it would be something that came to mind every single morning. So I'm starting to send out text messages. So like after a while, I start sending out some text messages like, hey, I thought about this morning. Just wanted to send it out to a couple of cats, a couple of cats that I know. Then I send it out to start sending to like my mom, start sending my family. And then they were like, you should keep getting these up. Like my mom was like, when she didn't get a message, she's like,
where you at?
Where my message at? So that grew. So from 16 to 23, I'm sending a message every single day.
Oh, wow.
Right? Except for weekends. But every single work day, I'm sending out a message from that practice. Right? From that morning meditation, from whatever revelation that came to me. Maybe it was inspirational. Maybe it's something I needed to do. Most of that book is me preaching to myself. Right. But it turns out it actually other people needed it at the moment. So we took those 2,000 whatever messages and we distilled those down to about 40, and categorized those from everything from leadership to your spiritual walk to relationships and so on. And courage is in that space, and we kind of set out the little a good little quick message, but then something that you can do with it. So it's called a contemplative morning. So not only I'm going to give you something hopefully in the book is something for you to think about, but then and a few questions, an inquiry, like a personal reflection of like these are things I need to think about, but also it's all about results. I want you to do something. These are some action steps to take if you really want to embody this, or you really want to move on this. And so that's what the book is. It's 40 days. I have a few folks. I have actually a good friend, and he's up in Jersey. He tells me like, man, I read this. Every time we get to 40, I start back over.
Oh, wow.
And what he's told me, he's like, every time I read it, I read it differently. And it's weird, and it's like it comes. So he may just go into the courage section, right? He may just go into the resilience section and just read that, and then flip back around because, again, all of this you'll see a thread within that. It's getting you to a place, hopefully, that you are resilient, that you are much more aware of where you are, that you're now more nimble in your thinking, that you have a deep belief in who you are and where you want to be, that you can see an obstacle and figure out, okay, what's possible? What can we do to get around it? Yeah. And I think that's the book. It is. I can't say it was a joy to write. Right. I had to go. It was a journey. It was definitely a journey. I had to go away many times. I was at the monastery a couple times for some writing. I was in the mountains a few times, do a lot of that because I'm trying to figure out what works and what doesn't.
Right.
And then to open up what are the action items or what are the reflection points in that, and try to open up the statement a little bit more.
Yeah.
And that's what we did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Contemplative morning.
Contemplative morning.
Yeah.
Trey Deadwyler.
Yes.
Get it all over the place.
Yeah.
So any final nuggets that you just want to share with the audiences about your journey, about living I say a profitable life, but also having a profitable business and making really your community's profitable.
Yeah. You're not going to do it alone.
That's good.
I think one of the big blessings for me is basically when my friends hire me. You know, it's hard. It's very difficult to get your friends because folks, for some of us, they don't think we have jobs.
Right.
They don't. They kind of know.
Yeah.
They kind of know, like, oh, you know, Trey will do. Paul will do. Mike, he'll do.
Right. Yeah.
So, but you won't do it alone. And what I would encourage folks to do is always find your tribe.
Yeah.
And try, if you don't have one, make one, create one that is not necessarily in the same space that you are in, or has the same expertise that you have.
Right.
Because there's something that that you don't see that they see, and there's something and vice versa.
Right.
And so you start to build this really great circle of learning as you go through the journey. Right. And I've been grateful for my entire crew that I've met over the years, that we still hang out. And it's like, hey, and also last thing, with that, as you go through the journey and within that team, this is something that I think is important. When you do a check-in or you just call them, don't let people get away with, I'm just doing okay.
Right. Yeah.
We don't need to hear that.
Right.
The problem, sometimes in our communities, we have this habit of humility. I'm not saying it's not a problem. I just want us to keep in mind, like, you could be humble and still celebrate.
Yeah. Right.
If you're doing what, had a guy, one of my good friends, he got $1 million contract the other day, and he was like, but in the conversation, he was like, we're just keeping the lights on.
Right. Wait, what?
But if I'm doing the numbers,
right, you're doing a lot more than just keep the lights.
You do because it wasn't his first one, right? And then he started talking more. So, but do figure out ways to continue to celebrate with each other, gather with each other. You won't do this alone. Being an entrepreneur is very difficult. So even if they can't send business your way, have someone, you be the one, be someone that just calls and gives some encouragement.
Yeah.
And let them do the same thing to you when it comes.
Yeah.
Hope it helps.
No, that's a great nugget, I think, and something you said, because I think humility, I often look at it from this perspective, because sometimes we're being prideful by trying to be humble. Right.
I'm sorry. Yes.
And so,
yes.
So
another show.
Yes.
Right, we let our pride sort of keep us in this humble state when really it's pride. Because somebody needs to know that you're winning, though.
Yes.
Right. Because to your point about encouragement, if I don't know that you're winning these opportunities and I'm, doing my best and I'm trying, now I think we're all in the same place. Right. And so it's like, man, none of us making it. Somebody got to win. Right. So I think that's a very important thing. And that's one of the things that I've always tried to do is celebrate the wins, but also celebrate the reality of it. Right. Because what looks easy to some, it's easy when you see, yes, I won this contract, but if I take you through the steps of it, then you understand. And that's one of the reasons why I always like to talk about the origin story. Because people will see you today and be like, oh man, you doing this and you doing that, and yes, but I can remember when I was upstairs making 2,000 phone calls and nobody was saying yes. And now all of a sudden, 15, 20 years later, this is how we got here. I think we live in a day now where with social media, it looks like everybody is just snapping their fingers and boom, it's a win. And that's the purpose of the profit formula, is to bring real stories, to talk about our journeys, to really look at ways to not only celebrate each other, but to highlight each other's successes through our failures, right? And the pivots that we had to make along the way. Because sometimes, and I love the fact that you sit down and wrote your book, because what I heard you say was, I had to figure out how to get out of my own way.
Yes.
And so really in my journaling, I'm looking at, how did I get here? Looking at my goals, how am I going to get to where I want to go? And so oftentimes we don't take time to assess ourselves, right? But yet I got solutions for everybody else. And as you were saying it, that's what I heard you say. I wanted to make sure that it worked for me, that I was putting in practice the very thing that it is that I'm going out and sharing with other people. And I think when you do that, it's a fair assessment, because now, in my opinion, you become your first client in that way, right? And so, no, man, thank you very much for just sharing this, because I think that it's, very helpful. But anyway, that was all my comment, man. I love it.
That's
a strong wrap up.
For sure.
But of course, where can we find you online, and you can let people know?
You can always find, you can always do a quick hashtag search. If you're still doing a hashtag search for Service Nerd, I guarantee you'll see this face. You can also find us at thinkforgood.org, at theservicenerd.com, and at all on social media at Trey Deadwyler, TrayDeadwyler. And I'm around there.
All right. Good stuff.
Thank you.
Well, thank y'all for hanging out with us.
Thank y'all for being an inspiration. I got to say this. Can I say this right quick? Yes, one of the things really cool about hanging out with good people is that every time you hang out with good people, they are also inspiring you. And so I've realized over the last 15 years that I only have good people in my life that have been inspirations. So anytime that we get together, it's a great time. So thanks for being inspirations, guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Our pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, good. All right, well, let's wrap it up.
There you go, man. It's on you.
Good stuff. Well, thank y'all again for watching The Profit Formula. Please like, subscribe, and share this. And leave a comment on the bottom. What impacted you on this show? How did you benefit from it? And then even guests that you want to see us interview in the future. All right, so until the next time, we'll check you out. Profit Formula.